So, Brad, first question would be, what kind of production decisions or decisions for your farm do you regularly seek out input from Lee on?
So we deal pretty much everything that we buy goes through Heritage. So from fertilizer recommendations, that's how we start our year. We'll sit down and go over fertilizer X after the last year's harvest. We variable rate all of our fertilizer, and then we variable rate all of our seed after that. We come back and variable rate our nitrogen then after planting. So we deal a lot with technology. We use climate. We use the R7 tool. We're constantly looking at the crop to see what it needs and to make the best decision for our money.
Yeah. And Lee, I mean, Brad just outlined a lot of complicated and very time-sensitive decisions. So how are you guys at the co-op ensuring that you're able to walk alongside farmers and maybe even push them at times to adopt new practices?
Well, we're always using our tools to help the grower make the best decision. You know, it starts with seed, so we use the answer plots from WinField. We use the R7 tool with the characterization charts and the response scores. We do grid sampling to make sure we're putting the right fertilizer in the right spot, using yield data as our yield goal, so we know where yields are coming from in each part of the field. Helping with the variable rate seeding prescriptions. There's different platforms we can use to do that. We choose which one is right for the grower, or even each field. So Brad and I have used multiple platforms to make those seeding prescriptions, just depending on the field. So we'll use a field forecasting tool to monitor and see which nitrogen rate is the best, which timing is the best for him. We use satellite and drone images to monitor the crop during the season. Field monitoring tool to help make our decision on where we need to be scouting and at what times. We pull tissue tests to evaluate whether the crop's got enough nutrients, the right amount of nutrients in at that time of year. And we use the climate app to sort out a lot of our yield data, so we know what's working, what's not working, because we put trials out. You need to know the results, and that's a good way to do it without taking the emotion out of it. It's the actual data. We have a big financial responsibility to our members to make the correct recommendations, and we take that very seriously. We have multiple trainings for our sales force throughout the year, along with our employees, and our relationship with WinField and all their data, their technologies, helping to run scenarios before we actually spend that money in the field is quite important to us.
So Jim, Lee set us up perfectly to talk a little bit of how does WinField United, what's their role in helping retailers anticipate farmers' needs today and in the future?
Well, Lee did a great job kind of explaining how we work together, but I think our role is generating relevant data and bringing in relevant digital tools that cause actions. Because I didn't mention, I still farm in Central Illinois, so love talking about this stuff. And it's like there's so much data. As a farmer, you have so much data. The data without action is irrelevant on the farm. So to me, if we can use the answer plot data to really drive relevant data around placement, around how the crop responds to certain inputs. Lee mentioned response to scores. So that when you buy seed for a farm or you're supplying a farmer, it's not just the best seed for the ground he's putting it on, it's the best seed for the way he or she farms. So understanding response to population, response to fungicide, response to cropping systems, response to nitrogen, those are all key decision points that, if a hybrid doesn't have a response to fungicide, it might not be a good investment. If a hybrid has a response to fungicide, it's probably one of the highest predictable probable ROIs on the farm. So the other piece that we try to do is, Lee mentioned climate and our R7 suite of tools. We're trying to get those connected, and that's what that announcement around field view connectivity into data silo, so that they don't have to double enter all that information. It's more seamless. Now we're at the beginning of that, but when you can start to connect those dots, you can really make insightful decisions that do drive profitability, just like Brad said. So that's kind of our role. The answer plots, we generate 6 million data points out of those on an annual basis. It's the largest in-season insight trial system in the U.S.